Okay, this is going to be part 28 of Champion, but I wanted to do some, like, house cleaning, like, talking about the channel first. First off, if you haven't subscribed, could you please do that? It actually helps me out. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers, which means that I can hopefully figure out getting my channel monetized, which would be super cool because... if you haven't guessed already, I am a college student, and college, not being rich in college is a thing. I also have posted in the description of my videos for the last couple of days, and it will be in the description of this video, a Venmo. Obviously not anticipated, not needed to keep viewing the content. I appreciate every view. Every view helps. Every subscriber helps. Every like helps. And those are free ways that you can get involved. But for those people that want to go extra above and beyond, there will be a Venmo as well. The Venmo, if you can put in the description, I have a list of books that I put in the community tab post that I've been requested to read. If you would like any of those, please put that in the description. Any dollar that you put towards the Venmo will be counted as a vote to read that book the next time, so that's an extra incentive to donate to the channel. I did want to also say, like, my thoughts on what's going to be next. So after Champion, we're going to read Rebel, which I have right here. This is the last book in the Legends series, and so I want to finish this one out first. But then I also have other ones that you can vote on at the Venmo to see which one I will read next. Holly Gibney is a series. The Holly by Stephen King book just came out, but actually she appears in 2 books before that. So I was just going to read the whole series on the channel. And then Beach Read was another one that I got recommended. That one is by the same artist as I forget what the book was called, but I've done that romance book on the channel before. Then The Reappearance of Rachel Price was another one that I was going to read on the channel. That's by the same author as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. The Cheerleaders, which I think is another Holly Jackson book. And then If He Had Been With Me, there are 2 books in that series now. And I will be reading them in the If He Had Been With Me and then If I Had Told Her lineage. Technically, If I Had Told Her is a prequel to that book, but I just wanted to do it that way. So those are the books that you can vote on at the Venmo. Obviously, if there's another one that you want really bad, that one you can also vote on with money amounts, or just tell me in the comments, and I will get to it at some point, depending on what the book is, depends on, if I can get it as easily. So I might have to take a pause from that one and go to a different one. But I'll be sure to communicate that on the channel as well. I also am thinking about doing shoutouts for the people that do Venmo, and be like, these people voted for this book, so that's what we're doing. But any and all dollar amounts are appreciated, as much as 1 cent to $1, $5, $10, like, whatever really helps me out, because books are expensive. But I've been rambling for enough time. This is part 28 of Champion. June. Commander Jameson's going to shoot him. The direction she's aiming her gun is unmistakable. Day's sprinting through the dust that blankets the street. Day, what are you doing? He stumbles in his dash, and even from the roofs I can tell that he's struggling to make his body move, that every last inch of him is screaming from exhaustion. He's going to push himself too far. I glance in the direction he's going, searching out what has drawn his attention. Eden, of course. The nurse holding Eden trips and falls in the midst of the billowing smoke, and when she gets up, fear gets the best of her because she just starts running away. Fury rises up inside me. Left behind is Eden, slowly stirring and completely vulnerable in the open street, blind, separated from the group, and coughing uncontrollably from the smoke. I jump to my feet. With the way Day's running opposite of everyone else, he'll soon be in an area where he's an open target. My hand flies to my waist, and then I remember that my own gun is out of bullets. I sprint back across the rooftop toward my last target, where I hadn't yet dropped his gun off the roof. When I glance toward Commander Jameson again, I see her tense and aim. No! No! She fires a shot. The bullet misses Day by a couple of feet. He stumbles in his rush, throwing an arm briefly over his head out of instinct, but picks himself up and continues doggedly on. My heart thuds frantically against my chest. Faster. I take a flying leap from one roof to the next. Down below, I see Day nearing Eden. Then he's there. He's reached him. He's getting to a halt next to Eden and throwing his arms protectively around his little brother. The dust around them makes them hard to focus on, as if they're both ghosts in faded colors. My breath comes in shallow gasps as I draw closer to the fallen soldiers. I hope the dust is throwing Commander Jameson's aim off. I reach the downed soldier. I grab his gun. One bullet left. Below, Day picks up Eden, runs one hand protectively against the back of his brother's head, and then starts staggering back toward the shelter as fast as his broken body will allow him. Commander Jameson takes aim again. I scream in my head and push myself to go faster. All of my adrenaline, every fiber of my attention and concentration, is now focused like an arrow on her. She fires. This time the bullet misses the brothers, but it sparks briefly a foot away from Day. He doesn't even bother to look up. He only clutches Eden tighter, then stumbles onward. I finally near the roof where she is. I leap onto it, landing on its flat concrete surface. From here I can see both the roof I'm on and the street below. 36 yards ahead of me, partially obscured by chimneys and vents, Commander Jameson crouches with her back turned to me, her focus on the streets. She fires again. Down below, I hear a hoarse shriek of pain from a voice I know all too well. All my breath escapes me. I glance quickly to the street to see Day fall to his knees, dropping Eden for a moment. The sounds around me dull. He's been shot. He shudders and picks himself up again, hoists Eden into his arms again, staggers onward. Commander Jameson fires one more time. The bullet makes impact. I hoist the gun in my hands, then point it straight at her. I'm close enough now, close enough to see the ridges of her bulletproof vest lining her back. My hands shake. I have a perfect vantage, a straight shot right at Commander Jameson's head. She's getting ready to fire again. I aim. As if the world has suddenly slowed to 1,000,000 frames a second, Commander Jameson spins around. She senses my presence. Her eyes narrow, and then she swivels her gun toward me, taking her focus off Day. Thoughts flash through my mind at the speed of light. I pull my gun's trigger, firing my last bullet straight at her head. And I miss. I never miss. No time to dwell on this. Commander Jameson has her gun pointed at me, and as my bullet whizzes past her face, I see her smile and fire. I throw myself to the ground, then roll. Something sparks briefly an inch from my arm. I dart behind a nearby chimney and press myself as tightly against the wall as I can. Somewhere behind me, the sound of heavy boots approaches. Breathe. Breathe. Our last confrontation flashes through my mind. Why can I face everything in the world except Commander Jameson? Come out and play, little Ibris, she calls out. When I stay silent, she laughs. Come out so I can see your pretty boy bleeding to death on the street. She knows exactly how to slice right into my heart, but I grit my teeth and force the image of a bleeding, dying Day out of my head. I don't have time for this bullshit. What I need to do is disarm her, and at that thought, I look down at my useless gun. Time to play a game of pretend. She's silent now. All I can hear is the soft tap of approaching boots, the steady nearing of my brother's killer. My hands tighten on my gun. She's close enough. I shut my eyes for an instant, mutter a quick whisper for good luck, and then whirl out from my hiding place. I point my gun at Commander Jameson as if I'm about to fire. She does what I hope. She flinches to the side, but this time I'm ready and I lunge straight for her. I jump, then kick her face as hard as I can. My boots make a satisfying sound on impact. Her head snaps backward. Her grip on her gun loosens, and I take the opportunity to kick it right out of her hands. She collapses onto the roof with a thud. Her gun flies off to one side, then falls right off the roof and to the smoke-filled streets below. I don't dare stop my momentum. While she's still down, I swing my elbow at her face in an effort to knock her unconscious. My first blow hits, but my second one doesn't. Commander Jameson grabs my elbow, snaps her other hand on my wrist like a shackle, and then twists. I flip with it. Pain shoots at my arm as it bends in her grasp. Before she can break it, I twist around and stomp on her arm with the sharp heel of my boot. She winces but doesn't let go. I stomp again, harder. Her grip loosens by a hair, and I finally manage to slip out of her grasp. She hops to her feet right as I put some distance between us and turn again to face her. We start to circle each other, both of us breathing heavily, my arm still screaming in pain and her face marred by a trickle of blood coming from her temple. I already know I can't win against her in an all-out brawl. She's taller and stronger, equipped with years of training that my talents can't match. My only hope is to catch her by surprise again, to find a way to turn her own force against her. As I continue to circle, waiting and watching for an opening, the world around us fades away. I draw on all my anger, letting it replace my fear and give me strength. It's just you and me now. This is the way it was always meant to be. This is the moment I've been waiting for since it all began. We'll face each other at the very end with our bare hands. Commander Jameson strikes first. Her speed terrifies me. 1 second she's before me, and the next she's at my side, her fist flying toward my face. I don't have time to dodge. All I manage to do is jerk my shoulder up at the last second, and her fist hits me instead as a glancing blow. Stars explode across my eyes. I stumble backward. I manage to dodge her next blow, barely. I roll away from her, fighting to clear my vision, and pop back onto my feet. When she lunges again, I jump up and kick at her head. It catches her, but she's too fast for it to be head-on. I dart away again. This time I back up slowly toward the edge of the roof, my eyes terrified to leave her. Good, I remind myself. Look as frightened as you can. Finally, the back of my boot hits the roof's ledge. I glance down, then back up at Commander Jameson. Despite a slight unsteadiness, she looks undaunted. It isn't hard for me to fake the fear in my wide eyes. She stalks toward me like a predator. She doesn't say a word, but she doesn't need to. Everything she's ever wanted to tell me has already been said before. It runs through my head like a poison. Little Icarus, how much you remind me of myself at your age. Adorable. Someday you'll learn that life isn't always what you want it to be, that you won't always get what you want, and that there are forces out of your control that will shape you into who you are. Too bad your time ends here. It would have been fun to see what you grow up to become. Her eyes hypnotize me. In this moment, I can imagine no worse sight. She lunges forward. I have only one chance. I duck, grab her arm, and flip her right over my head. Her momentum sends her sailing over the edge of the roof, but her hand clamps down on my arm. I'm yanked halfway over the ledge. My left shoulder pops out of its socket. I scream. My heels dig in against the ledge, fighting to keep me from falling over. Commander Jameson flattens herself against the side of the building, grappling for footholds. Her nails dig so deep into my flesh that I can feel my skin ripping. Tears spring to my eyes. Down below, Republic soldiers are still herding evacuees, firing on enemy soldiers on other roofs, shouting orders into their mics. I scream at them with everything I have left. "Shoot her!" I shout. "Shoot her!" 2 Republic soldiers snap their heads in my direction. They recognize me. As they lift their guns in my direction, Commander Jameson looks into my eyes and grins. "I knew you couldn't do it yourself." Then the soldiers open fire. Commander Jameson's body convulses, her grip suddenly loosens, and she plummets like a wounded bird to the street. I turn away so I don't have to look, but I still hear the sickening sound of her body against pavement. She's gone, just like that. I'm left with her words in my own ringing through my ears. Shoot her. Shoot her. Midas's words flash through my mind. Few people ever kill for the right reasons. I hurriedly wipe the tears from my face. What did I just do? Her blood stains my hands. I rub my good hand against my clothes, but I can't get it off. I don't know if I'll ever be able to. This is the right reason, I whisper repeatedly. Perhaps she destroyed herself, but I only helped. But even this thought seems hollow. The agony of my dislocated shoulder makes me lightheaded. I lift my right arm, grip my wounded left arm, grit my teeth, and push hard. I scream again. The bone resists for an instant, and then I feel my shoulder pop back into place. Fresh tears course down my face. My hands tremble uncontrollably, and my ears ring, blocking out any sound around me except the beating of my heart. How long has it been? Hours? A few seconds? The pulsing light of logic seeps into my mind, cutting through the pain. As always, it saves me. Day needs your help, it whispers. Go to him. I search for Day. He has reached the other side of the street and the safer areas around the shelter where Republic soldiers have set up their barricades. But even as I start rushing to the edge of the roof, I notice that others have pulled Eden's unconscious form away from Day and are taking him to safety. A few hover over Day as he lies on the ground, momentarily obscuring him from my view. I scramble down the building as fast as I can until I reach a fire escape and rush down the metal steps. Fear and adrenaline numb my injuries. Please, I beg silently, please let him be okay. By the time I reach him, a crowd is formed. I can hear one of them shouting, "Move it! Get back! Give us some room! Tell them to hurry up!" A lump in my throat chokes me, leaving me short of breath. My boots pound against the ground, keeping rhythm with my heart. I shove people aside and drop to my knees at Day's side. The person shouting was Pasco. He gives me a frantic look. "Stay with him," he tells me. "I'm going for the medics." I nod once and he dashes off. I barely notice all the people crowded around us in a ring. All I can do is look down at Day. He's trembling from head to toe, his eyes wide open in shock, his hair clinging to his face. When I look closer at his body, I notice 2 wounds spilling dark blood across his shirt, one wound in his chest and the other near his hip. A strangled cry comes from someone. Maybe it's from me. As if in a dream, I bend over him and touch his face. "Day, it's me. It's June. I'm right here." He looks at me. "June?" he manages to gasp out. He tries to lift a hand to my face, but he's shaking so hard that he can't. I reach out and cradle his face with both of my hands. His eyes are full of tears. I think I've been shot." 2 people from the crowd place their hands over his wounds, pressing down hard enough to force a painful sob from his mouth. He tries to look down at them, but has no strength to lift his head. "Medics are on their way," I tell him firmly, leaning close enough to press my lips against his cheek. "Hang on, okay? Stay with me. Keep looking at me. You'll be okay." "I don't think so," Day stammers. He blinks rapidly, spilling tears down the side of his face. They wet the tips of my fingers. "Eden, is he safe?" "He's safe," I whisper. "Your brother is safe and sound, and you'll get to see him very soon." Day starts to reply but can't. His skin looks so ashen. Please, no. I refuse to let myself think the worst, but it hangs over us like a black shadow. I feel the heaviness of death looming over my shoulder, his sightless eyes staring down into Day's soul, waiting patiently to overwhelm his light. "I don't want to go," Day finally manages to say. "I don't want to leave you, Eden." I shush him by touching my lips to his trembling ones. "Nothing bad will ever happen to Eden," I replied gently, desperate to keep him with me. "Stay focused, Day. You're going to the hospital. They're coming back for you. It won't be long now." "It won't be long now." Jay just smiles at me, an expression so sad that it breaks through my numbness and I begin to cry. Those bright blue eyes. Before me is the boy who has bandaged my wounds on the streets of Lake, who has guarded his family with every bone in his body, who has stayed by my side in spite of everything. The boy of light and laughter and life, of grief and fury and passion, the boy whose fate is intertwined with mine forever and always. "I love you," he whispers. "Can you stay a while?" He says something else, but his voice trails off so quietly that I can't make out what it is. No, you can't." His breathing grows shallower. I can tell that he is fighting to stay conscious, that with every passing second his eyes have more and more trouble focusing on me. For a moment Day tries to look at something behind me, but when I glance over my shoulder there's nothing there but open sky. I kiss him again and then lean my head against his. "I love you," I whisper over and over again. "Don't go." I close my eyes. My tears fall on his cheeks. As I crouch there against him, feeling his life slowly ebb away, I'm consumed with grief and rage. I have never been a religious person, but right now as I see medics in the distance hurrying toward us, I send a desperate prayer to some higher power. To what, I don't know. But I hope that anyone hears me. That it'll lift us both into its arms and take pity on us. I throw this prayer into the sky with every shred of strength I have left. Let him live. Please don't take him away from this world. Please don't let him die here in my arms, not after everything we've been through together, not after you've taken so many others. Please, I beg you, let him live. I'm willing to sacrifice anything to make this happen. I'm willing to do anything you ask. Maybe you'll laugh at me for such a naive promise, but I mean it in earnest, and I don't care if it makes no sense or seems impossible. Let him live. Please, I can't bear this a second time. I look desperately around us, my vision blurred with tears, and everything is a smear of blood and smoke, light and ash, and all I can hear is screaming and gunfire and hatred. And I am so tired of the fighting, so frustrated, angry, helpless. Tell me there is still good in the world. Tell me there is still hope for all of us. Through my underwater veil, I feel hands on my arms pull me away from Day. I struggle stubbornly against them. Pain lances up my injured shoulder. Medics bend down over his body. His eyes are closed now, and I can't see him breathing. Images of Midas's body flash back to me. When the medics try again to pull me from Day, I shove them roughly away and scream. I scream for everything that has gone wrong. I scream for everything broken in our lives.